I'm going to read something from the website Era of Light. I've been scratching around trying to find something to help explain and help me understand the archons and the chakras and how the archons attack us on daily life via the chakras. The chakras is something that I haven't really delved into, and I actually had my reservations about the chakras. And Tony Sayers, he's done some videos on removal of chakras. I haven't watched those videos. Maybe I should go off and watch those videos. But he's suggesting we should be removing the chakras because they are a way for dark entities to attack our daily lives. So I'm going to put the link for this blog, this piece that I'm about to read in the description below. Me and Dan are going to talk further about the archons and the chakras, and also we're going to discuss tonight the theories of the soul trap. The soul trap theories is something that's been bandied around quite heavily at the moment. Is this a school? Is it a trap? I happen to believe it's both, but I'll go further into my theory when we have a chat this evening. But anyway, on to the article. So, archons and how they interfere with our lives. I wanted to talk a little more about archons and the reality that we are all currently experiencing. When it comes to these non-physical entities, there are many things to consider. I have written about archons and archon attacks in the past. See, the anatomy of an archon attack and a catalyst happens. So please check out those articles for a little background information if needed. Here, I plan to dive into the subject a little further and discuss the reasons for these attacks. Why are we targets? Why are they here? Currently, our awareness is locked into what appears to be a physical body. However, that physical body is something that is manifested and decoded into being from another body, sometimes referred to as the etheric body or energy body. What we call a physical body, a biomechanical construct with genetic processes and programs, is more like a spacesuit. It is a vehicle for the exploration and the expression of the consciousness. We can call being in a body a human experience. These human experiences we have are normally assigned a label such as Patrick, Rochelle, Tom or Randall, or even Joe and Dan. I believe that this energy and integrated awareness is the first level of encoding and decoding that ultimately leads to the experience of a physical world. This is my current take on the organisation of these quantum energies and the associated chakra system, which I am continually updating as I research these things further. Regardless, it is in these areas that archons prey upon us. Each chakra has with it associated sets of emotional states. In the realm of energy, a flow occurs from bottom to top, in and out of each of the 7 chakras. That flow of energy can be blocked by negative emotional states such as a sacral chakra being blocked by fear and or the fear of death. When that flow of energy is blocked and disrupted with nowhere to go, energy begins to leak into the electromagnetic field of the energy body. This is where archons come into play. Archons siphon off that leaked energy as a kind of life force and use it for themselves. In order to do that, however, there needs to be something disrupting and blocking the energy flow. Archons will manipulate us in a way that causes these energy blockages, such as luring us into conditions that will promote fear, and then siphon off the energy that is leaked. The life force energy is necessary for their own survival as their frequency is so low they are essentially cut off from higher vibrational energies. That leaked energy could be considered sustenance for them. Because of this, they are like electromagnetic parasites. In order to perpetuate a system where those incarnate into a human experience are leaking energy, they seek to create a world that suppresses enlightenment and positive emotional states and promotes negative emotional states such as fear, panic, anger, rage, etc. Positive emotions and behaviours, such as the expressions of conditional love, respect and compassion, carry with them the harmonic vibrations of the divine. Patterned established expressions of this kind reflect an unimpeded energy flow throughout all of the chakras. This is why maintaining a positive mental state, resulting in the natural flow of positive expression, is ultimately the most powerful way of being. This ultimately establishes a state of high frequency. Archons cannot directly interfere or manipulate those in a high frequency state. However, they will attempt to attack and suppress those energies by attacking through the other incarnate beings who are in a state of low frequency and awareness. Essentially, they seek to maintain everyone in a low vibrational state with its associated negative emotional conditions that are perpetuated by feedback systems. They have to orchestrate chaos, otherwise they will not be able to survive energetically. The world that we currently experience is a physical manifestation of these negative chaotic energies. In this illusory realm of the physical, we are daily tortured with the energies of insanity, death, chaos, destruction, fighting, sickness, etc. This is the programming that we receive from birth that is perpetuated by the stories, the news, movies and television shows that we see, hear and read daily. As our future exists as a series of probabilities, Archons can push and prod us along a decision-making pathway that favours catalysts that will promote negative emotional states and potential energy blockages and leaks. They seek to create a negative emotional condition that will enable them to exploit the state further. For example, Archons can manipulate technology to create frustration, and the energies of frustration will create a bridge that allows them to electromagnetically entrain and begin to instigate mental chaos. People will start to hear voices in many of these states. They will think they are going insane and act accordingly. This is an example of the phrase, "the devil made me do it." That would be more appropriately said as my negative emotional states and behaviours, by choice or programming, has drawn Archons to me who are manipulating me into states of chaos that I am blindly following because I have a very limited awareness of the reality of my true condition. If one, however, has an awareness that perhaps they are being manipulated and realise there is no reason to act on any impulse that will stop an Archon from proceeding as the probabilities begin to fall out of their favour. The individual being attacked now has an awareness to choose a more rational response to catalyst. The game is up, so to speak. In that regard, awareness, it would seem, is the key to everything. This is exactly the reason why we are kept in a perpetual state of spiritual disconnect through orchestrated chaos. Learning the truth of this place and why we are here is paramount to understanding the reasons our world is the way it is. It is an interesting note to note that, in terms of our own spiritual evolution, the conditions of this place have created a kind of accelerated growth matrix where the spirit can incarnate and evolve rapidly because of the chaos. One can quickly go down the drain and become trapped as well, though. And that, my friends, is material for another article. Hey Dan, finally, we're getting on with this. We were meant to do it last night. We didn't. I cancelled a couple of times, and here we are. We're going to have a chat about the soul trap, a very complex subject, and it's one that's in the news at the moment with the mainstream. And there's a lot of theories out there about, is this a trap? Is it a school? My personal opinion, I think it's a bit of both. And I guess the reason why I think it's a bit of the both will unfold as we go through this conversation. And I was just saying to Dan earlier, we have such in-depth conversation and so many aha moments. I do anyway. I think Dan's ahead in the journey than I am. I have these aha moments, and I said to him today, I wish I had these aha moments and these revelations on the Zoom when we have instead of it all being on Telegram, because the next day I've forgotten what we've talked about because we've moved on to something else. But yeah, want to discuss the soul trap. We are more and more coming to the gnosis that this is a trap based on the things that are being revealed towards with the archons, with the chakras in the archons, etc., etc. So First off, I want to read from my book Transcendental Magic, something that it says about the revelation of souls. So we read in the Hebrew book concerning the revelation of souls that there are three classes of souls: the daughters of Adam, the daughters of angels, and the daughters of sin. And on that, I want to go back to Adam and Eve, because I've only just this evening learned about, well, it's actually registered with me the story of Adam and Eve. I'll let you explain that because you'll be able to do a better job than me. Because I've never read the Bible, I have so many holes in this journey. I've never wanted to read the Bible because I've never been into religion, because I've been so vehemently against religion. But I'm now realizing religion, yes, is a control system, but equally, if we go back far enough, it can tell us an awful lot about our history, our present, and our future. So there are three classes of souls: the daughters of Adam, the daughters of angels, and the daughters of sin. And according to the same work, there are also three kinds of spirits: captive, wandering, and free. And I think the reason why a lot of us are getting into this at the moment is because of this whole transhuman movement and what Yuval Harari states: humans no longer have free will. I deduce that he believes that we no longer have free will in the soul and the spirit realm. So as we've discussed in previous videos, they want to shove us further and further into matter. And again, I'm not quite sure how they're going to do that. How can you put an energy force into a material force? Which is something that I kind of like touched on in my last video when I shared all my voice notes that I had to you. But that's why I think, I know you say the soul trap isn't a new thing, but it's being discussed a lot in the truth movement. And I think it is because of this whole transhuman agenda of we're all thinking, shit, I don't want to get trapped in this soul realm and not be able to get back to spirit, which is who we truly are, which I've had a real problem with accepting that's who we are. I've known that word, but I've gone, well, I'm this spacesuit and everything's important to me here, but that's how they've got us conditioned to think that the material realm is more important than the spirit realm. And we can talk about why we came here, how we got here, which is a story of Adam and Eve. So let's begin with that, Dan.
Please, Noah. There must be something we can do. We can drag ropes.
They cannot all be soldiers, Father. They are just people. There is room.
There is no room for them. Soon everything we knew will be gone. All that is left of creation will lie within these walls. Outside, just the waters of chaos again. You are angry. You judge me. Let me tell you a story. The first story my father told me, and the first story that I told each of you. In the beginning, there was nothing. Nothing but the silence of an infinite darkness. But the breath of the Creator fluttered against the face of the void, whispering, "Let there be light." And light was. And it was good. The first day. And then the formless light began to take on substance and shape. The second day. And our world was born. Our beautiful, fragile home. And a great warming light nurtured its days. And a lesser light ruled the nights. And there was evening and morning. Another day. And the waters of the world gathered together. And in their midst emerged dry land. Another day passed. And the ground put forth the growing things, a thick blanket of green stretching across all creation. And the waters, too, teemed with life. Great creatures of the deep that are no more. Vast multitudes of fish, some of which may still swim beneath these seas. And soon, the sky was streaming with birds. And there was evening, and there was morning, a fifth day. Now the whole world was full of living beings. Everything that creeps, everything that crawls, and every beast that walks upon the ground. And it was good. It was all good. There was light, and air, and water, and soil, all clean and unspoiled. Your plants and fish, and fowl and beast, each after their own kind, all part of the greater whole, all in their place, and all was in balance. It was paradise, the jewel in the Creator's palm. And the Creator made man, and by his side woman, father and mother of us all. He gave them a choice. Follow the temptation of darkness, or hold on to the blessing of light. But they ate from the forbidden fruit. Their innocence is extinguished. And so for the 10 generations since Adam, sin has walked within us. Brother against brother. Nation against nation. Man against creation. We murdered each other. We broke the world. We did this. Man did this. Everything that was beautiful, everything that was good, we shattered.
Just to touch on that as well about the three things, like we could say the Christian Gnostics, they claim to have three types of humans. Your carnal, which is your material. So these are the creation of Yaldabaoth demiurge, which have zero divine spark. So they have no spirit. So they're not a fractal of creator. So when they die, they will no longer exist. They will cease to exist. So as people talk about these people who are soulless or non-player programs, these are what the Gnostics called the carnal or the material human beings.
So do you think that they're here all the time? Because how I'm picturing spirit incarnates into soul. Basically, soul is fractals of light from consciousness, and consciousness is spirit. So souls are fractals. So we've got individual souls. So as you sent me earlier, you've got the body, which is the collective consciousness, soul, which is the individual consciousness, and then the spirit
is creator's consciousness, Christ.
Yeah. Notice how we've all got the threes here. There's so many threes and sevens. They to be popping up everywhere. But so the ones who are soulless or spiritless, they're considered. Let's look at the Matrix. You've got him walking through the Matrix, and you've got all these guys in suits, and they're not aware of what's going on in the world. And this woman pops up in the red dress. She's kind of like an agent, isn't she? But the non-player characters, they're soulless, and they're here all the time in this realm. They don't go back to soul, and they've definitely got no spirit.
So these will help with Yaldabaoth's controlling system because they look as a majority, so that it's easy to manipulate. So people will see it's like mass formation psychosis. So many people are doing that thing. People tend to be the sheep and follow in that direction. And this is one of his manipulation plans, how he gets people to follow the crowd. So that's like one of his others. The second one is the psychic. So we obviously people have heard of like clairvoyance and stuff like that. So how they connect to the creator is obviously through consciousness, through Christ consciousness. They can communicate straight directly to source. The third one is the pneumatic, which needs to find the gnosis, the secret knowledge. So they're looking for memories, triggers that, because they've obviously been reincarnated, things that relate to them to get back to the creator. So that's the other one, which is what we've just discussed before, off camera, that we probably think we are the pneumatic, because I've definitely got zero psychic abilities or clairvoyancy. So I'm definitely a seeker of knowledge that
Yeah.
things have to click to me or resonate to me through my intuition that, hang on a minute, this is what seems right after reading so many books and research.
And that could actually be that could be a form of psychic ability, because you're tapping into your memories, which we know that are wiped when we come to this realm. And I suppose it's like Westworld, isn't it? You know, got the robots, and then she starts to have memories and realize that something's not right. And then she starts to go on a voyage of discovery and gnosis, so to speak, and find out the truth. And then when she realizes the truth, then all hell breaks loose. But yeah, so you could say that we have got an element of psychic ability, because we're tapping into, we just don't know what we're tapping into.
Correct.
So
but this actually leads on as well to Adam and Eve. So for those who are not aware, obviously Adam and Eve were the first, obviously, humans in the Bible that came to this realm. They also had 3 children, which was Cain, Abel, and Seth. So even the 3 children fit into these 3 categories. So you've got Cain, who's the carnal, it's the dead energy, the evil energy. Abel was the psychic. And then the pneumatic was Seth. So the Seth bloodline is what we're left, because Abel obviously got killed by Cain. He got murdered by his own brother, and obviously that's where the thing cannibal comes with Cain, Abel.
Yeah.
So it's your 3 again, which all coincide with each other. But just going back to that about the Adam and Eve story. So as I explained to you recently, like Adam and Eve were the first form of transhumanism. So when they first fell into this world, obviously they didn't come here by choice, they fell. And the Creator told them not to eat from the tree of knowledge, the forbidden fruit. But that is not the same as what the Gnostics believe. That is what the Christian Bible believed in the Genesis, that they did not follow the command of the Creator and went against him, which then followed into the path of darkness, evil. So the forbidden fruit. And the punishment was because they were light energy when they first arrived here, which was soul, because they're not just soul, they're spirit first. So when they fall into this realm, they become soul. And then the third punishment was soul into body. So they had to have a physical form, and that was their punishment, which is obviously helping the demiurge on its side, because without a body, you can't create more vessels for these spirits to start falling in and multiplying. So he were growing his energy harvesting field from Adam and Eve. So it all worked to the demiurge's plan. And as the Gnostics believe that when Adam and Eve fell and ate the forbidden fruit, the reason why they ate the forbidden fruit is because, and the demiurge cursed them, because you've got to remember, the God in this realm is not creator. The God of this realm is Yaldabaoth. Yahweh is Yaldabaoth. Jehovah is Yaldabaoth. And so forth. So when we talk about gods, Yaldabaoth is the god of this reality of the lower aeons. Right? So he is not the creator of the cosmos. He is just the creator of this false world of matter.
So the creator resides in Hyperborea, Pleroma. Is that
Pomora, yeah.
yeah,
Pomora is what the Gnostics call, which is Hyperborea.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
anyone wondering about Hyperborea, I've done a video on Hyperborea so just
yeah.
to give you some kind of an idea of to visualize basically there's two realms. You've got the upper realm and you've got the lower realm, and we're in the lower realm. And we are fallen. We're not fallen angels, are we?
No.
No.
With the fallen divine spark. So this explains the Orion Wars. So for those who are familiar with the Orion Wars, this is where the Bible talks about the wars between angels and demons. So demons already lived in this realm previously. So before Yaldabaoth and Lucifer took over, it was a head demon called, is it Beelzebub? Was the ruler of this realm. I think it was Beelzebub. I
Call
can't
John
pronounce
to
it
make
properly.
it easy. Just why have they got all these fancy names? Just call him John. Just make it
Um, so he was the original ruler of this realm before of what we call hell. So he was the original ruler. Obviously, the first lot of angels that fell, they came to help Adam. And then when they came, they got obviously manipulated and then seen things for themselves, which is obviously what caused the Orion Wars, angels fighting angels and so forth. So originally, I think there were 300 angels fell, not archons, angels. So 300 angels fell to help Adam to get back to Hyperborea, which obviously didn't fail because they knew him breeding was going to cause more people, more trapped spirits into this realm, this reality, which the demiurge of the Yaldabaoth needs our divine spark to create for it. This is what the hard thing and the hardest pill for people to swallow is because they can't understand that this realm is hell because you do see the beauty, but the beauty in this world, this reality, is created by us. Just as the horrible evil side of this world is also created through us, and that's down to our manipulation through the archons who play on our emotions. But both sides are created. That's why it's a hard pill to swallow that this is not us. We come from the higher realms, not this realm. And we're more powerful than the Aldabaoth, the archons. We're the divine spark. We are part of the factual, the co-creator. And this is where the angels came down, was to bring Adam and Eve back to where they came from. But obviously they failed. They then come down, and especially to the Jewish texts, they talk about when the angels fell, they became golems. So they took the form of giants made of stone. That's just the angels, not the archons. The archons that came, obviously, we've touched already on the last video about how they became the new seven princes of darkness. So it was only the seven originally archons that fell first. Obviously, there's 36 altogether, including Christ, Sophia. Then you've got your 10 higher aeons, and then you've got your other 12, all in Hyperboreus, which makes you 36. So they're still on the other side, communicate. They can't interfere, come into this realm, because as soon as they come into this realm, they're falling. So they have to communicate through us by obviously psychic, telekinesis, like your hyperdimensional beings. So they have to do it through our sleep,
This
through
is
our
the
astral,
angel.
and through the esoteric.
This is the
This is
angels.
the angels, yeah, the upper aeons, the
Yeah.
ones that are still beyond. They've not come into the firmament, because that is the big wall. The firmament is the split between the lower and the upper.
But Christ fell, didn't he? So
He did, yeah.
So you've got Christ, Lucifer, and then we're going into the age of Ahriman, which is Satan,
Yeah,
basically, which
yeah.
is
So
this whole technology.
when Christ fell, he failed in his first attempt.
Yeah. To liberate the people. So Christ reincarnated. Again, this is all new to me, guys. Christ incarnated into Jesus, and the mission of Jesus Christ was to liberate the people, but he failed that mission, didn't he?
Yeah. Just as Noah did. he failed as well with Noah's Ark with the Great Flood. So Noah, for those who aren't familiar about Noah, he was the bloodline of Seth, not the bloodline of Cain. So Noah had a revelation, and he got told that his youngest son was to be the last bloodline on this planet. So once Noah did the flood on all the animals, it was only going to be the animals and everything else that was going to be left on this planet. There was going to be no humans left because humans were intoxicating it because of the manipulation for the Aldebaoth. So Noah was meant to, his bloodline was meant to cease with his youngest son. But obviously he rescued a daughter of Cain who was not meant to be able to have children, but something happened where she then was able to conceive, and she then became pregnant during the floods. And Noah was meant to kill the baby when it was born if it was going to be a female, but for some reason he didn't. He had a change of heart and obviously kept, and this is why we've recycled to where we are now today, and it seems to be a recurring event. So the human mankind was meant to end because all we are energy harvesting for these archons and Yaldabaoth. That's the sad reality. In this reality, we're just farm animals to them. Obviously, they feed off our loose energy, which is through emotions. And again, we spoke about that with the chakras, how they connect. So how does all this relate to a soul trap? So obviously you can tell that if they don't want us to leave, they keep wanting us to breed into this reality to create more and more matter so they can put more souls into matter. And again, this is why the women are so powerful, because the women are the gateway from the upper aeon to the lower aeon.
But that's kind of a contradiction with the fact that they're attacking feminine energy. They want the masculine energy to remain, and they are stopping breeding with certain procedures, shall we say, to have this facility where they're going to have incubator babies. Now, obviously, if women can't bring in new souls, then
it's a catch-22. It's the thing, because I think they can't handle the amount of people. That's why, for some reason, when we get to a peak of a population, this reset seems to come the Phoenix event, and it's always seems to be when they can't control the masses. So the masses starts to uprise and overthrow. And they say it's usually 250 years when a civilization of power gets crumbled. Which the only one that hasn't is the Roman Empire, because it's still going to this day. So Roman Empire has been going for 2,000 years. But all the other civilizations, even America's, I think, coming up to 2030 is the end of its 250-year reign of power.
And 2030 is a prominent date, as we know.
Yeah. So that's what it seems to be, is because it's a simulation system through projection of your mind that they can't control. So the simulation starts to have its fluctuations and problems. It has its glitches, and because people are starting to wake up, the more people that are here, the easier it is for us to break the simulation on our own backs. And that's what I'm getting from it.
And where I was leading with the incubator babies and stopping the breeding, I mean, this whole men having babies and things like that, you know, we're in clown world at the moment, as it's referred to by a lot of people. You know, it seems really bizarre, but it's happened time and time again. This is what happens when the world's resetting. It just gets crazy. But if women stop creating this is how I'm seeing it, right? So if they push souls further into matter, i.e. transhumans, therefore soul cannot escape the material body, because that body will never die. So that this is the way I'm envisaging it, and you know, feel free to throw in your theories. But if our soul is trapped in this physical body, and they're creating babies in incubators. The way I see it, the souls that have, so as an example, my mum who passed in 2020, right, her soul may have reincarnated already, or may still be up there, right? Let's say they make an incubator baby, which is half man, half baby, half machine. Her soul goes into that incubator baby, that soul is then trapped. So basically, the way I see it, the whole purpose of not breeding and is to trap souls in this lower, in completely matter.
Yeah.
No souls roaming anywhere. So basically, no souls can get back to spirit, end of, because at least in the soul realm, we're one step closer to being able to pass into hyperborea, i.e., go back to consciousness, back to spirit. But if we're all in matter, they've severed that. That's the way. So they won't be bringing new souls in. They'll just the souls that are,
That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
I see it as the closing that portal for anything coming in and anything going out. Because obviously angels and other archons can come in, but obviously they're taking the risk of falling, giving up their wings. But the way I look at it is they need to shut that off. They need to stop this whole cycle and go, do you know what? We need it this way. And obviously this is where your new reign of terror comes in, because as I've explained to you through the Gnostics, Satan is not a thing, it's a rank. Satan just means the evilness, the adversary to the creator. Where the creator's about the good, Satan's the title of just evil. So obviously Lucifer is the ruler of this realm as we stand, but through all this new talk of the new Antichrist, so he's the new Antichrist, not the old Antichrist. He's the new one, which is obviously what people have looked into, and the Persians talked about him, which is Ahriman. So he is the demon of chaos, and destruction. So he is literally what people think where we're going now. It's chaos. It's literally turning into what he is.
Which it will be if we have all these cataclysms that are being prophesized, and we've got 2.5 minutes left. Do you want to jump out and then jump back in?
Yeah.
And we are back for the depressing soul trap chat. So that's been the big realization for me, I guess, Dan, is we've discussed, and I've said this in previous videos, my biggest thing about why I'm delving the way I'm delving is the why this transhuman agenda, and it's all unfolding for me. And it's becoming clearer and clearer. They want to trap our souls. We can't get back to spirit. End of. And that sounds pretty hopeless. But they have said in some esoteric teachings that those that search for the gnosis
find the way out.
And I guess that's why Buddha and people like him, they went off for 7 years, and it's about ditching this material realm, if you like. But I just want to touch on like the seven planets. 7 years that Buddha went off, the 7 nirvana, reaching nirvana. And again, we had this conversation off air, and the 7 elements of the tree of life. And because I've been looking into, as you know, this is my audiences, I've been looking into the tree of life, the Kabbalah, and having looked at the tree of life and got a very, very limited understanding of it, it's really helped me understand a lot more. It's really connected some dots for me. So you've got the 1, 2, and 3, which is your universe, which is, I suppose, where you could say Hyperborea, where spirit, where consciousness is. And then the lower down, you've got the planets, you've got the sun, which is where soul is in the center of it all. And then you've got 10, which is the lowest, which is kingdom, which is earth, and which is where we are. And I was trying to fit in, because I said to you off air in one of our chats on Telegram, maybe we have to go through this whole transhuman agenda to complete if we're thinking of from a Buddhist point of view, in order to complete our life cycles, then we have to go through this transhuman agenda to complete that life cycle. However, on that, I've lost my train of thought.
Yeah, but they also talk about the 7 reincarnations, that you have to come back 7 times before you complete your reincarnations in the Hindu.
Exactly.
So again, it's like through the ages, we've come back reincarnated, and it's all them lessons that, and we come to a point where they say we're old. People say you're an old soul, and that's because you're willing to accept everything that's going on. So for some people, it's too far out there. It goes way over their head. There won't even be a little flicker inside of them. But to some others, there'll be just that one little flicker and go, hang on a minute, this resonates to me. I get this. I don't know why I get it. And this is where the old soul comes into it.
Yeah.
Because all our memories are kept in one place. And funny enough, our Akashic records, they call it the cloud, which is, again, you see machines, where does everything go on your iPhone and your other phones? It goes to the cloud, or your storage, your backup data.
Exactly.
So again, it's exactly the same concept. Like, nothing's new. Even the Apple, what is the Apple and the iPhone? It's a forbidden fruit. It's an apple that's been bit, and it's destroying us. And that is exactly what happened to Adam and Eve. They ate the apple and it destroyed them. It made them sin.
And hello, Apple technology, and technology destroying us because we spend most of our life on it. We don't lift our heads up. We don't look out the window. We don't live our lives. But if we're looking at it from a Buddhist point of view, and I go back to the Buddhist because I haven't looked at anything else, but I have looked at Buddhism, and that would suggest it's a school rather than a trap. And this is why I go back to what I said at the beginning. I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Because, and I've said this to you, what if I don't want to come back and learn? But just by the very nature of this realm, let's say it was an agreement when we came from spirit, came into the soul realm. Mind you, we were tricked, weren't we?
Yeah.
We were tricked. So I don't know, it just gets really complicated for me. But that's why I think it's a little bit of both. A little bit of school and a little bit of spirit. So once we're down here, we are trapped until we've lived those 7 cycles and we reach nirvana, for want of a better word. You there? Can't hear you, Dan.
Oh.
There we go.
Something happened there. I don't know what happened.
I could tell by your face something was going on.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Sound's gone.
Should we come back in?
Oh, I can hear you now.
Right, okay, cool. Okay, right. So what I was saying, that's why I think it's a little bit of both, because once we come down here, we do have lessons to learn. And maybe that was the old school of thought. Maybe now we're just like going to be trapped here with this whole transhuman falling into matter.
So I know you've not read her stuff. There's a lady, she's passed away now, called Dolores Cannon. Her stuff floats around all over the
I've
internet.
watched some of the stuff, yeah.
So, yeah. So what she believed was, originally it was a school, and obviously this is before Yaldabaoth took control over it. So before that, it was a school to learn, to enhance, to move on, to realize what it is to like, to love, to feel pain, and so forth. And why more spirits came into this realm was not because they fell for the school theory. It's because they came to help the other spirits that are trapped here, because outside of this realm, these spirits that are trapped in here are our brothers, our sisters, our family, not matter family that we see in this reality. So they came here to help, but obviously, as soon as you come through the firmament, that whole memory wipe happens. So it's hard, and that's why some people, especially empaths, they come here and they don't want children. They feel pain off everyone, so they become very, very inverted. They become hermits. They don't like to be around people because they feel everyone's pain and stuff. So these are what they call the new souls, and she calls it the three waves of volunteers. So there's a wave that happened in 1945, a second wave in the 1980s, and the last wave was in 2012. So these were all came here to raise the consciousness of wars of spirits that awake to break free. Because I think the grand design for this age, because we've come a complete full age of circle, was to destroy the Yaldabaoth plan. But I don't think they can't destroy the creature. I think only thing that could destroy that is Sophia, but because it's the love of her child, can she kill her own child, destroy her own creation? And that's a question all mothers ask themselves: can they do it? If you're a real mother, you couldn't. This is where the confusion is with people with Sophia. Some people say she's demonic, some people say she's evil, and then some people say she's the light. And it's because people blame her for what we're in.
Yeah.
And that again is down to her own love. So is love a bad thing? Because it was the love that she gave, wanting to have her own child, which went to go against creators what he said she could do. So she created her own abomination without a male seed. And the universal law is you have two genders, a male, a masculine, and feminine energy, which creates both together. And that's everything from botanical to animals to human beings. Everything exists in that same concept because she tried doing it herself. And that's the abomination. That's why some people blame her. But that again, it's just a touch back of the school and obviously the trap thing where people get conflicted. And again, if people want to look at Dolores Cannon's work, to me, she does give good stuff, and I like her quantum hypnosis stuff. But she's a lot of new ages pounce on her stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's very new age.
Yeah.
But yeah. So just going back to, because as you were talking then about Dolores Cannon and the souls, and
yeah,
you said something and it made me think about, were there people here before Adam and Eve?
Yeah, there was not such as people, but this realm originally was, it had all different kinds of beings in it.
So when you had your Nephilims and
no, your Nephilims are your fallen angels. You're your angels.
I thought they were giants.
So they came. So this is right. So you got two different contradictions. So you've got the Christian side who talk about the Nephilims being giant humans.
Yeah.
Which bred with the women of humans.
Yeah.
So fallen angels. Then you've got the Jewish texts who talk about them as golems. So because they couldn't take a human form, only the archons, the archangels, can shape shift from their true. What you see in the esoteric realm is their true form. In this realm, they can take the form of human beings, but obviously this is where you like your Greek mythology, where Zeus created demigods by having intercourse with women of Adam, but the angels they couldn't take that form, so they became stone, according to the Judaism text from the Hebrew Bible. So that's where the thing comes from, with the name of Golem. And also your Cyclops, because some of them have one eyes, and that was their punishment. They lost the wings, they no longer became energy beings, and because they hit the ground so hard, they took the form of rock.
It's been depicted so many times, hasn't it? In like
yeah. So it's your
what's that
different.
film with Medusa?
Yeah, she's a demigod. This is where the Archons were mixing with Beast, having intercourse with Beast, hybrid programs.
Yeah.
Same with your Minotaur. So there's been a lot of interbreeding with the Archons, but the Nephilims, the ones that they were just normal angels, they couldn't take that form, to be their true self. So obviously, this is where they turn into your giants. And again, you've got to be careful of distinguishing between the Hebrew Bible and Christianity, because you've got to remember that the Jews wrote Christianity.
Good point, actually. Good point.
So
Yeah.
who's telling the truth? Is
Yeah.
it the Hebrew Bible or is it the Christian Bible? Because Constantine was a Jew, Jesus himself was a Jew,
Yeah.
and so the Hebrew Bibles are a lot older. And again, people only talk about the Talmud, but not the Tanakh. The Tanakh is the full spectrum of the 15 books. So there's a lot of information in the Hebrew Bible. People don't talk about it. People focus on the Christian Bible. You've got to remember that was wrote by a Jew. So
Yeah.
I'm always persuaded to sway along with what the Jews are saying more than what
And
the Christian Bible say.
if we think of the very people who are running this physical realm, what do they follow?
Yeah.
What do they know? And why have they inverted everything so that we, the plebs, as we are known to them, we're never going to figure this stuff out because everything's been inverted. And this is why we're now going to talk about the inversion. Actually, I want to talk, before we talk about the inversion of going to the light, which is what we always think that we should do when we pass, to not being reincarnated. That's where the soul trap comes in. Let's talk about the archons and the chakras a little bit more.
The seals.
Yeah. So the archons are the 7 planets. So if you're into your astrology, guys, this is going to upset you. If you look to your astrology for guidance, that is your blueprint, and that is where they've got you tracked, because they're having you believe that that's how the controlling us, is by the astrology, isn't it? Yeah, because
that's your blueprint.
That's your blueprint. Exactly. And again, that's a hard pill for people to swallow, because we all want to think that we've got control of our lives and we've all got our own minds. And I think that's one of the things that I've come to accept, is actually we don't have control of our lives, and it is scripted, and we don't have our own minds. But that being said, we must have our own minds, because there are people who are independent thinkers and critical thinkers. So what are your thoughts on that? Because if you don't want critical and independent thinkers, then they wouldn't allow...
Because you're breaking the rules. You are allowed to break the rules. This is the thing. Just because it's set in stone doesn't mean you can't break it. It's the people that follow that. So people who think that everything is destiny, everything's fate, and everything happens for a reason. Well, you can do little things just to break that thing. And Tesla was a prime example of that. And obviously other people are doing it now. Even Jason's from Archaics, he does little things that breaks that routine up. And instead of like every day you walk out your house, you go left, one day just go right. That literally starts messing with things. And again, I think Tom on talks about it, is when you start doing so much to change the program, because instead of the program attacking you, which it does, once you start breaking it, it starts attacking you back, thinking you need to get back into line. And this is where people start having like bad experiences and stuff like this, because the system knows you're breaking out of line. So once you become a rebel so much, the system ignores you. It acts as if you don't exist. And this is where people start to break free, thinking and go, hang on, I'm actually free. A little example in modern days, bailiffs. People are so scared and bailiffs, and then when someone actually stands up to the bailiff, they just get ignored. The bailiffs don't ever come round again. It becomes ignoring. If you start responding to the letters, which is again, that's just the system created by Yarabah, the whole government, the system, debt letters and stuff like that. It's all created to create that fear and that anxiety. But once you take control of that, the system just goes, all right, I can cope with one person not obeying me. We'll just ignore him or her. And that's how the system seems to work. And Tom Montauk talks about that. It's because it's all down to thought forms. If you start creating your own thought forms, you start building your own reality.
Tunnels. And it's also about not being in fear, because again, we've talked about this. That's how
Yeah.
they control us. It's what they feed on. They feed on the fear. This is why we live in a society of fear, of depression. TV is bombarded, even like most films, it's facing the horror, the depressing, yada yada yada. But just going back,
which goes back into the chakras now. So each year chakra is related to an emotion.
yeah,
And again, it's the opposite to the 7 sins. And obviously you've got 7 chakras. And again, there's 7 sins. And if you look at the chakras colours, they are the rainbow upside down. So it's inverted. So are we meant to go up or are we meant to go down? And this is where the thing it says, where we know that the hardest chakra to deal with first is the one that felt the lowest, which is pride. And you mentioned today, like, how do we live a life of being free? Because we've got mortgages and stuff like that and so forth. And that's all down to your ego, the materialism. And it literally, they call it what it is. You don't own anything.
yeah.
The items, the materials own you. That's why they're called possessions. And the names in the title, it's a possession.
Yeah,
We're being possessed by material things, things that have no life.
Exactly. And yeah, exactly. I mean, I was sending you voice notes on this, you know, because I'd finished watching that video on the Tree of Life, and it was called, it was basically saying, you know, to ascend, for want of a better word, and again we're going to talk about that in a minute, but for to be an altruist, to be truly altruistic, it's about giving and not taking. And it's almost like we spend our lives taking. For me to be completely altruistic, I would have to rent my lodges out for free to people come and have free holidays. But unfortunately, we live in a satanic materialist world that we're not able to be altruistic, and we have to take off others in order to give to corporations. But equally, we're continually taking from the earth. Now, I know you said earlier in that conversation, the earth is about cooperation. The earth is abundant. It's there to provide for us. But unfortunately, humans take too much. We don't just take what we need. We take too much, and we're stripping. So
overconsume.
Absolutely. So again, that then comes down to the satanic realm. Is it the realm that's to blame, or is it? So I've heard this.
It's a bit of both.
Exactly.
We can't put the blame.
Responsibility.
Yeah, 100%. We can't just pass the blame on, because, again, that's if we don't have free will. We have everything by choice.
Yeah.
And this is where people take the life and go, do you know what? I give up everything. And they call it the spiritual walk, and they literally just go off for a couple of years, and it's like a pilgrimage. They've got to go back to square one, have nothing, realize that they can survive in all conditions, and that's what some people used to do in enlightenment. And it's funny because in the old ages, they used to say when you reach the age of 21, you had to do that. You had to leave your home. You had to go out on your own, be able to survive for yourself. And then I think it was 2 or 4 years they did it, and then they were allowed to come back. Which then the men they'd say you left as a boy and you come back a man. And it's the same with a woman, because you had to learn your skills. You couldn't do what society is now, where everyone relies on the whole family for everything. Like kids now are never going to leave the homes because they've got so materialistic, so far gone with the materialism world, that because they can't raise that money straight away for themselves, they're going to be bleeding off the parents, which is then causing the parents stress. And then the parents are then going to the grandparents for money, and it's that whole cycle of, because you've all got anxiety, you've all got stress, because of this feeding of the materialistic world. And we have gone so into the material world that we need to literally go backwards in reverse to start unplugging all these chakras seals.
I just want to touch on the material world is when it's not just about possessions, it's about selfie taking and being completely
beauty.
Yeah, it's false eyelashes, false makeup, false bums, false boobs, false everything. The material.
Becoming cyborgs ourselves
Yeah,
by
yeah,
choice.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and I, and I, and
People
I, and I,
want to enhance themselves so much that they're willing to sacrifice what they are to be something they're not.
yeah.
And it's crazy.
But equally, again, this is where it's a twofold thing, isn't it? Because that's the way society has been created. I know we're going off a bit of a tangent here, but that's the way society's been. It has been created all about image and possessions and keeping up with the Joneses.
Well, this is where your chakra seals come into, because your chakras are fed by a prince of darkness, an
Yeah,
archon. So each of your chakras, so your throat chakra is wrath, because that's where your anger comes out, your voice comes out. That's why so many people, or again, people who are scared to say their own mind, again, that's why they say cancers are created, because you keep that fear in, which is why a lot of throat cancers. And you look at so many people now, and they're easy to spot, are so narcissistic. And they attack them kind of, so they are feeding. So these narcissistic people, again, they feed off your energy.
yeah,
So, and they're not even icons, they're just people and the way they are. And again, pride is a sin, sloth, again, we're all guilty of it. We'd rather sit back and expect a hero, again, it's a programming or someone to save us, or we'll sit there and listen to someone and think everything they're saying is the truth. Like, nothing what we're saying is the truth. It's our truth.
yeah.
Everyone's truth is different because it's their own journey. We're not saying we're right. We're not saying we're wrong. These are just the journey that we're on, and these are the truths that we're coming. They're not truths. They're just information that we're finding.
Just
But
theories.
some
Yeah,
people will, yeah, some people will say, yeah, that's everything. I'm just going to follow that one person, and everything they're saying is right. And that's a sloth mentality.
yeah,
And then you've got people who watch someone because they fancy them. That's the lust
yeah,
mentality. And then the people who are sitting behind the screen who are making a killing is your greed mentality.
yeah.
So it's all, and these are all energies that give off because
But equally, Dan,
the,
equally, and I'm not quite sure what sin this would come under, but there is that much information out there. We can
yeah,
spend all day and all night researching what would over, and again, it's overconsumption. It could be, what's the word for overconsumption? It's not greed. It is greed, isn't it? Gluttony is
yeah, greed, yeah, gluttony.
it's overconsumption. So therefore,
Yeah, it can be a combination of both.
yeah,
So again, your pride, because people like to find information and knowledge because it makes them think that they're more intellectual and powerful.
yeah, yeah. And again, look, it all comes down to ego, doesn't it? All comes
Yeah,
down to ego.
always. That's why Lucifer is the power of this realm. He's pride, he's ego. Ego
Yeah,
is the biggest driver out here. People compete, like with the way you look at society, it competes constantly. Everyone competes with each other. If it's not
yeah,
looks, if it's not money, if it's not cars, if it's not house, if it's not stature, everything is a competition, and that's all down to ego.
yeah,
Um, Even with race, people think, well, this whole stupid idea that white people are better, and then obviously Christians are better or Muslims are better. Again, everything is down to ego.
yeah.
And until you shatter that ego and destroy it and go, do you know what? I don't want it anymore. But that's the other part is, do we need that little bit of ego to get through this challenge? This is
I
where,
I've
if
said
that is
this
your drive,
absolutely. I've always said this, like this whole idea of ridding the ego. I think is a very dangerous, and I think it's a new age thing as well, because we do
yeah,
need ego. If we didn't have ego, we wouldn't have this drive to be learning what we're learning. That's coming from ego, because you know what, I could sit back and go, do you know what, I don't need to know all of this, because I know I'm going to be able to escape back up to the spirit. I'm not going to be trapped. That would be, but equally that would be my ego as well. It's all ego, isn't it? All ego.
So I think if you know how to use it for the greater good, there's a difference. It's how you use it. It's like even with the greed. If you're making a lot of money, but what you're doing with the money is the difference. It's those who are making a shitload of money and it's for their own greed and for their ego to boost their status in society. And they then think they are Hollywood stars and celebrities and so forth. That is literally feeding your ego.
And you know I'm talking about that because I sent you the pictures. But again, going back to that is the nature of this realm. It is unfortunately it is the nature of this realm where it is governed by, in order to survive, you've got to have money. It's just the nature of the realm, isn't it? So again,
this is where the Freemasons come in and the secret societies, because they understand this. And again, with your tree of life, you've got your right path, your left path.
Yeah.
And it's all about being balanced in the middle.
Yeah.
And even Christianity, what do? You bring the two together and you pray to be in the middle.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. You're bringing both energies in, and it's all about balance. It's how you're using your intellect, how you're using everything, and it's all about bringing it into the thing, because everything has to have duality. You can't have the good without the bad, and because you wouldn't even understand what is good and what is bad without one or the other.
It's like, you've got to have the highs to have the lows and to feel the lows, and vice versa. We live in a realm of duality, and so we've got to. So, but it is about balance, and one of those balances not being triggered by certain things. You see something and getting angry or irritated by something, or being hurt by something. It's just about. I was listening to Manly P. Hall's book. It's on the Kabbalah, and it's about right thought, right action. No, right thought, right emotion, right action.
Action, yeah.
And it's doing everything right. So it's not overreacting. So it's right thought. So the right thought gives an example. I don't know. I've got £1 million in the bank. So no, hang on a minute. Give me a right thought, Dan. Help me out here a little bit. What would a right thought be?
A right thought is like helping someone. You say they're homeless, but not bragging about it. You know what you've done. They know what you've done. And people nowadays, where they've helped someone, I've got to take a selfie of it. I've then got to put it up on social media because I want a reaction for what I've done. And I want everybody else to praise me. And then, because all that's doing is feeding your ego, where at the time you've helped someone and there's no ego involved. And then this is where the universe pays you back, because you've done something out of your own kindness and not made a big deal out of it. Then there's no repercussions. This is where the secret societies and even your elite players, as much as people think they're evil and they're hatred, they know how to play this system. They know there's no karma coming back to them.
It's why we've got the inversion of it all.
Yeah. And this is where people won't look into how they do this stuff, because they think, oh, they're just evil. It's all demonized. It's satanic. They just know the game. That's why it's a game of chess, checkers and chess.
But it's been presented to us as being evil. Oh, they're a Freemason. Yeah. Again, we've had this conversation over Telegram. Oh, they're a Freemason. Oh, they're doing the one-eyed signal. Oh, they're doing this. Oh, they got the number 666 against the name. So because everything's been branded as evil because of the darkness that we're living through right now, then they won't go into and have a look at, well, hang on a minute, is it really evil? It's just a philosophy. You've got the dark and you've got the light. So there is light in the Kabbalah, in the Freemasonic philosophy, as much as there is dark. And it's about understanding that. And again, we've had this conversation. Your symbolism, like your devil symbolism and whatnot, your Nazi symbol, it's an old sacred symbol, but they've demonized it themselves. And so when people see that what's it called, the Nazi symbol,
the swastika.
When they see that, they automatically think of the Nazis. And that's all been by design. And their ignorance won't, oh, it's a Nazi symbol, whereas it's actually an ancient, sacred, powerful symbol, but it's been used as for the Nazis, so people don't look into things. So until people break that barrier of and that fear of looking deeper into something like the Freemasonic, like
Again, the
the
soft mentality. They don't want to research, and that's the thing, and that's why the occult have got away with running this world for so long as they have.
and it's
Especially the elites, is because it's down to people's own ignorance. And Rudolf Steiner and so forth, and Manley, they didn't want to teach people this is because they knew people's reactions. And like, why would they want to get that reaction, that back kick off people, where people who are on that journey will find them for their knowledge? And that's what they're very into, is if you want this knowledge, you'll be on that journey at the right time in the right place to find this information. Because everybody else, it's way over the heads. They're quite happy to sit there behind TV watching Emmerdale or watching American Idol and so forth. To realize that this is going on around them constantly. It is a scary thought that we've got all this going on, all this control, but the only way to be free of it is to be aware of it. And the occult are very aware of it. It's the same with the soul trap. Yeah, the New Age people have jumped onto it because New Agers do that with everything. But the soul trap is talked about in all secret societies. They talk about the spirit is separate from the soul. The soul is separate from the body. We then went from spirit to soul. That's your first trap. So that is your soul trap. Then we're going to soul to body, which is your next trap. Now we're going to go body to machine, a further trap.
And that's
And
the ultimate
again,
trap.
the Hindus talk about the reincarnation wheel. So these aren't new. The new theories online, people are talking about, but these are old knowledge, what they talked about. They all understand that we're in this, and some of these elites, they don't want to leave because they know their bloodlines have this power. So, like the Rothschilds, their bloodline will always have money. So they'll always be the ones running the world. So they have no intention to leave to go back because they're happy. They're happy with their god Yaldabaoth. They're happy with worshipping Lucifer. They're happy worshipping the other archons because they understand that they're not going to get any threats to them because they understand how they work. They've got their protections. So they're just living the life that they want. And they're happy and now they're shaping themselves in this realm because obviously the archons are in the esoteric realm as gods of this realm. Hence why they build these tall skyscrapers and towers, and they're sitting up their own new Mount Olympus. Because they see themselves as gods, and we are the peasants. We're the pests.
And they know all about the esoteric esoteric knowledge, like further than the 33rd degree and beyond. That's where all the knowledge is, and again, we've got 4 minutes left. I know you're on a time, you only got 50, you've got to go at 9, haven't you?
Yeah, we can just come back and then do 15 minutes because you want to touch back into the
I want to talk about going into the dark
inversion.
Yeah, right, okay, speak to you in a minute. So I've touched on this in prior videos. It was Ola Wolney who is actually coming on my channel. So that should be a really good chat. I'm just waiting for a reply back about dates. But it was something that her and Logan from Decode Your Reality, when I used to listen to Logan talking about, and again, it goes into the inversions. When we pass, we are told to go to the light, and we are met with family members, loved ones, and then it's spoken of that we have to come back to learn lessons. That there are things that have karmic debt that we did in this realm, so we have to come back to amend that karmic debt. And we've been discussing quite a bit with it about it, or we should be going to the dark. And it was, and again, so it was only that where I had that revelation. It made sense to me. And then I watched that Pineal Foundation video about where the consciousness is, where the memories are. It's dark matter, it's the void, and we have to go past through the portal, the black sun, to get there. And that's where the ultimate trap is, us believing that we have to go to the light, and then we are told about our karmic debt in this realm, and then we're pushed back in, and then bam, we're here for another cycle of hell, shall we say. So do you want to talk more on that?
Yeah. So you sent me a video of that Mario, I can't remember his surname where.
Oh yeah,
And
Bjornbard.
yeah, so he did the neuroscience experiment about with near-death experiences, and it realized that once the brain died, there was still activity in the esoteric, that it's still functioning. And all these near-death experience people talk about the white light and the family. So again, I've had these experiences myself, not through death, but through traveling through the esoteric. And you see these things called machine elves. Terence McKenna talks about them, these little things. And these machine elves, people have talked about them as the greys, the aliens, or little mischievous elves or gnomes. But they can take forms of your loved ones, your family, and they're usually there at the white light to receive you. Like you say, to go for your judgment. They say like a video of your life and see what your judgment is. Do you need to come back? And this is the whole trick. So again, this is again free will choice. You choose to come back if you feel like, well, I didn't do a good enough job. But you shouldn't need a life review, especially by whatever it is, because you've lived your life. You should know what you've done wrong and what you've done right. And you should accept that, because who's to judge you apart from your biggest judge is yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where and you can read so many near-death experiences, psychedelic reports, people who have meditated, and they've all talked about this white light, and this is where they keep coming back. It sends them back. But no one ever talks about the dark light, which is at the bottom, which is the void. And if you look into even quantum physics and even the Bible, before Creator spoke, there was nothing. Nothing is the unified field. Everything comes from nothing. Right? Nothing.
Yeah.
Right? And this is where everyone gets, even quantum physics talks about it. This is why CERN and people on this planet are so obsessed with creating dark matter, because that is the God spark. Everything comes from nothing. Right? So God is not your white light that people think. God is the darkness, the emptiness, because without that, nothing can be created. So he is everything in between space.
And we were talking about earlier, sorry, have you got any more to say on that?
Yeah. No, go on.
We were talking about the tree of life earlier.
Yeah.
And we were talking about, so it's 10 and it goes up to 1.
Up.
And then you said, but I still think that we need to be going down.
Down.
It's
yeah.
that matter. And it got in, and that's when I then said to you, maybe the tree of life, we need to invert. That's one of the tricks that they know, that, you know, we're reading all this stuff, but we know that we don't get the true knowledge. You know, we're not allowed to see the true esoteric knowledge. We're only getting snippets and bite-sized knowledges. So then I said about the tree of life, inverting it, so 1. So if we go back to, again, you've told me this, we used to read from right to left.
Yeah, the opposite way around.
Yeah.
And even the Muslims, Islam, and the Jews, they read bottom to top.
So if you think about
not top to bottom.
Yeah. So the tree of life, I don't know if you'll be able to see that, people. So you've got 10 down here, which is earth, and then you've got 1 up here, which is crown, which is ultimate consciousness. If we are thinking about Muslims reading and Muslims and the other religions reading
Jewish, Hebrew, the opposite
but
way around.
you would be 1, 2, you'd read it 1 at the bottom, 10 at the top. So I think we need to invert the tree of life as well. So it is about going into dark matter. When we pass, going to no thing. Because we've had discussion. I'm doing DMT breathing at the moment, and I'm seeing like the hang on, sorry. I'm seeing the purple traveling light, and then I'm seeing the big white light. The whole frontal. Is it called a vortex? Cortex. Yeah, my whole frontal cortex glows bright white. And then you said the next stage of that is actually no thing.
Darkness.
Yeah. So unfortunately, nobody's ever had a near-death experience and said that they've got a choice of going to dark or going to light. They only ever come back and talk about the light. Because I said to you as well, and I said this to Claudine, what if they wipe our memories? You know, we're having this conversation now about going to the dark. What when we're ready to pass, they wipe our memories? So we only remember that to go to the light, and we're tricked, basically, because we were tricked to be here in the first place. What are your thoughts on that, if you've got any?
Again, we're talking about it in one of the groups, Gnostic groups, like people associate the sun being good, that it's the good energy. But again, what is Lucifer's name? He was named the morning star. He is the bright light. He was the icon of beauty.
But
so
in the tree of life, 6 is
soul.
sun. So
again, but soul is a trap. It was your first trap from spirit. We're spirits, we're fractals of the source, so we go to nothing. And people again do talk about, especially when they've done DMT. I've never done DMT myself, but people who've done DMT, they've talked about, they've asked the question, who am I? And then when they've gone, they've realized that they've gone to nothing, and they're like spent thousands of years and like, well, what's going on? Like, I wanted to know what I am, and it showed you are nothing. You are the void. And they're like, well, I don't want to be that. I want to go back home. And that's where they come back, and they're like, shit, like there's actually nothing to do. I've got all these powers, and I can create worlds, I can create cosmos, I can create universes, but where I'm actually from is darkness.
What's really interesting about that actually is when my mum was passing, the doctor asked her how she felt, and my mum said she was scared. And the reason why she was scared is because she was so scared she was going to nothing. Because again, they teach us. Hang on a minute, I need to think about this. We think that we're going to a more fantastical, brighter version of this.
Yeah.
The knowledge of going to nothing. I'd never thought about that before. If we're going to nothing, that would be very scary for people to think that they're going to be going to nothing, because they don't understand spirit, do they? They don't, they don't understand. But that's really interesting.
But you can't see yourself through your eyes, that's the thing. Without mirrors, you don't know what you're seeing. You're just seeing an emptiness of darkness. And then obviously this is where, because we're creators, we create the cosmos, the worlds, the universes. But again, this is in a different aeon where time doesn't exist. It's only this lower aeon.
Here's a question for you. The demiurge can't create, so how did he create this realm if he can't create?
So this realm was already created before it came here.
Of course it was, yeah, but it had no moon, did it?
He was the parasite. He's what made brother turn on brother, man kill man, animal kill animal. So he's just manipulated it with his own abomination, the evilness. It's just the evil has crept in.
That Yeah, that's right. Because all these ancient esoteric knowledges, for one of I know that's not a word, but
yeah.
like the tree of life, like your Buddhism, like your not Christianity because that came afterwards, but this realm was never meant to be
What
about
it is.
materialism, was it?
No,
And
no.
yeah, you just
Everything was at its place. Everything wasn't meant to go to where it was meant to go. It was meant to in a biodiversity relationship where everything worked with each other. And obviously Adam and Eve were the ones who just destroyed all that with mankind coming and the whole trick. And then obviously it's just gone. It's just been a feeding thing ever since. And everything, like I say, everything here now is animalistic. It's kill or be killed
yeah.
way of living. But like I said, it's hard pill to people to swallow because again, because the demiurge doesn't create the beauty that we do see in this world is created by humans.
Mm.
As much as we destroy it, we also create the beauty in the world. So everything that we do see, the beauty side of it, is created by humans. Like the art and people even planting the seed is it's done by humans. We even looking after animals and breeding animals. It's that kind of beauty is what we do. We create, but we've also got the tendency to destroy, and it's that duality.
And I think it's very important to hold on to that because I said this to you. We concentrate a lot on the archons, on the demiurge. You know, there are seven heavens as well. So although you've got the seven deadly sins, you've equally got the seven heavens. There's a polarity with everything. And I think, you know, I was meant to look at the seven heavens today, but I forgot. What are the seven heavens? And
The seven heavens are actually in the lower aeon, so they are the thrones by the archons. So so that was God's punishment. He left them in the heavens. Heavens are below the firmament.
the firmament, you mean?
So the firmament, yeah,
Yeah.
firmament, yeah. So upper aeon, there's no heavens. It's just heaven. It's your Hyperborea, where
Right.
so they say this is a mirror image of what's above.
Well, as above, so below.
Well, exactly, but it's been obviously this is where it's gone bad. Where this is why that's why we find everything here familiar, and resonate with a lot of things that are here because they say it's a mirror image of what we come from.
Contradicts the no thing theory.
So that's where creator is. Creator is the nothing. And
Right.
because we are fractals of the creator,
Yeah.
which is just divine sparks from it, we belong. So when people are asking, where do I go? They go back to the creator, then they are nothing. They are the unified field. They're not asked where do I, because from what I gather, we go around creating worlds and creating cosmos and creating universes. This is why we were sent here as a school. It was to help us progress, to become, because we are celestial beings, we're creators. And that's the difference is when people have done it on the DMT, they ask, what am I? So it's took them straight back to the very beginning. You are part of creator, source, the divine spark.
It's interesting. Again, I'm just going to touch on my mum. When she was passing, I said, go straight to source. And I'm hoping she did. You know, whether that did anything or not, I don't know. But it was advice. It was from the advice of a friend. Tell her to go straight back to source. So, you know,
it's funny how even the Hebrews back in the day and all the old texts, they never called him God. Even Noah and all that, and Lamech and Seth and so forth, they all called him Creator. They never called him God. It was only when Yaldabaoth came that the title God came, because that's what he looked himself as, a God. Where Creator doesn't need to look at himself as he is the creator of all things, the cosmos.
Yeah, I need to think of, because you've got the 7 realms, the 7 levels of hell, which is Dante's Inferno, which is what we are in now.
Yeah.
And then you've got the 7 heavens. And then above the 7
So,
heavens, you've got Creator, which is no thing. We want
yeah.
to go into Creator, which is no thing.
Yeah. We need to get ourselves back to Hyperborea,
Yeah,
the upper aeon. That's where we need to go, is back through to the upper aeons, and then obviously this is where we're back with who we are and everything else, and the real world, not this holographic simulation that we're trapped in. As we've been discussing, it's an arc. We
yeah,
are in Noah's Ark, which is a
yeah,
cube. It's Metatron's cube,
yeah.
um, and that's why circles are so prominent and so talked about everywhere. Because how do you draw a perfect circle in a cube? And again, it comes with your 666, with your hexagon and your so forth. Again, it builds Metatron cubes. The number 666 builds Metatron's cube. That's where you can look at it as satanic, the 666 number, but 666 is the number for creation.
Yeah.
Which
6
again,
protons, 6. Go on, remind me, 6 protons.
protons, 6 electrons. I can't remember the other in.
Yeah, there's another.
Yeah. But again, it's all down to creation, and that's where they say, like, if you draw a pentagram, then drawing the outside, you then got a hexagon, and then you drawing the lines again, you've got a cube. It's that transformation of mathematics going from one design to a second design to a third design, and it's
And again,
all using six.
that's something very important in the esoteric knowledge, which blows my brain, like gematria, the numbers.
Yeah.
You know, all numbers have significance in the esoteric world. And you know, so folks, we don't have the answer of how to get back to source, unfortunately. So we'll see.
This is the journey of gnosis.
You are.
This is the journey of a gnosis. It's to find the truth. The original Gnostics sussed it. Some people will suss it. That's what they say. They find the loopholes. They find the gateways out of here. It's funny because the Mayans who disappeared and the Aztecs, they all worshipped the underworld.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. There's definitely something in that. Definitely.
Yeah. So, and
Because
again, the Greeks.
Because Ola made a really good point. She says, when we come out of our mother's womb, we go to the light, and then we end up here.
Yeah.
So.
And where are you? In the womb. You're in darkness.
Yeah. No, we're in the tomb. We need to get back to
the
womb. Yeah, we're in the tomb.
Yeah.
So we go from womb to tomb, and we want to go tomb back to womb, which is Hyperborea.
Yeah. It's a very complicated and a touchy subject, especially for those who have got any religious backgrounds, because to literally get on this journey, you have to really go through that whole rewipe.
Well, Mark Pascal says it's destructive because you've got to destroy every belief that you've ever had.
Yeah. And that's the truth of it, is you've got to literally decondition yourself, get rid of anything that you hold true to yourself, because it's all false.
Yeah.
And you've got to rebuild up with your own ideology, not what's been imprinted in you.
And I think that's been a lot of the pain. And I know I speak for myself here, but speaking to other people, that has been one of the biggest painful processes these last 3 years, is that realizing your whole frigging life's been a lie. Your history is a lie. Everything that you ever learned in school was a lie. You know, it's a very, very painful. And then to come to the realization, and I say this loosely because I don't think nothing is real, because I think that's a very new age. Nothing's real, then nothing matters. So what I'm going to say is very loose, but to realize that even this isn't who we are. Again, that's been one of my painful things. This isn't who we are. We are spirit. we want to hold on to this material, you know, because I love my cats and I love my horses and I've got a good life and all those things that we want to hold on to, possessions, material possessions. So it is a very destructive process to, you know, and faith in astrology, you know, a lot of people put their faith in astrology. And when you realize that's the one thing that's got the hold over you because that's the blueprint, then you've got to try and break that cycle, that belief. You know, do you need to go now, Dan? It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
You carrying on here.
No. Right.
All right.
Well, sorry we don't have the answers for you guys. We might do next week. We might know how to get the hell out of here next week. Again, Dan, thanks for your time. It was actually your idea to do this tonight because we were meant to do it last night. You had stuff going on, and so it was an impromptu video tonight.